I get excited. I geek out on this stuff when it comes to intuition, tuning into our guidance that is sometime opposite to what we are consciously thinking is true for us. Even if we're gonna get into some topics that range the spectrum of our experience, and being a human body, don't you think it's strange? I think it's strange that we don't know what's going on inside our body consciously. That it feels like a short, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel like it's something that's disconnected? That we have to go and get our blood drawn. We have to go and get tests done. We have to go, and they can be very insightful. That's true. But in the moment of should I go to the regular doctor, or is this something that a healer can do, or can I do this myself at home? So it ranges the gamut of, yes, health in the body. You can use this tool to go grocery shopping. Is this food what my body wants right now? You can use this tool to go, oh, should I collaborate with this individual? Is this a good time to launch? All of these questions that we have as intuitively guided entrepreneurs seems to be absent from our conscious mind. And I want to bring that forward so that you have tools to be able to pull that information out without a whole lot of, I don't know, looking outside of yourself. I want you to look in from the inside. What's going on? I think we oftentimes make decisions based on what our friend says, based on what our um, family says, what our partner says, what even our parents, our grand or not grandparents. We're too young, we're too old for that. Our children. So there's all of these people that are in our sphere of influence, and rather than taking their information, we could learn from ourselves. So I want to bring to mind some thoughts. So are there along those that the spectrum of questions that I brought up? There's so many things that this could apply to, but does anybody have, we knew what the conversation was going to be before when we were signed up and making a decision. Is there something, if you want to pop it into chat, or where there's so few of us, Thanksgiving week, right? To be thankful for our lives right now. Um, what questions do you have that you'd like information on from yourself? Am I getting the right water? Am I getting enough sleep? Is this food good for me? Should I, all of these questions. Is there anybody here who has questions already that we can then play with live while we're here? And I'm going to teach you the what to do with it, and even the framework around what kind of questions we can ask. Very often, um, this work that I'm being mysterious about, but I will reveal it to you. This work tends to be something that we get an idea about, but we misapply it. And I want to make sure I state up front the rules and regulations, if you will, around this type of energy work. One is we want to make sure that we are in a safe place, grounded, or have a um, what can I call this? An energetic boundary. There's a mental boundary, and then there's the process. So we're going to learn about kinesiology. And how many people have heard of kinesiology before? Is this something you've heard of? Yeah, Linda's heard of it. Um, you can raise your hands on the Zoom, or you can just pop in your answer into chat as well. So we have a really cool ancient wisdom practice that I use every day. And I use it not only for myself, but I also use it in connection with others. That's advanced. If y'all are good students today, we might learn more about the advanced part. But getting this first part down is most important. So it's, how does my insight, my intuition work for me? And so I want to start with the container. So when it comes to decisions to face from day to day, I don't see any questions yet in chat, but think about it. Like what do you have ongoingly that you think about? They cross your mind or even intermittently, or they come up in process from day to day. Which ones do you feel confident you have the answers to? And so you're dismissing them. And I want to challenge you to not dismiss them. The whole point of a breakthrough is to challenge that which we've put on autopilot and said, oh, this water is good for me. And I'm using very simplistic examples, but they mean so much. This water is good for me, and I've been getting this for years. This supplement is excellent for me, except paid lots of money for it. I hear that one a lot. Oh, Eva, I pay a lot of money for this supplement. And then not always is it good for them right now. So there's all kinds of questions that we could pose and use this process for. Okay. And we'll go into more examples later, especially as we pull up your personal questions as they come up. Several ways to set space. So the very first thing we do is set space. Energetic boundaries have to be in play. I do this every single time I get onto a call with an individual or a group like this. And you can set space in several ways, several ways. You'll have your own way that makes sense to you. You can use. You can light a candle, and then mentally you're setting space. This is my space. You can place the golden shield that people learn from Reiki. You've heard of that one before, I'm sure. The golden eggshell shield, protective sphere that blocks all external intentions. The purpose is to block out other people's thoughts. The brain is the most powerful thing on the planet, and it sends and receives instantaneously. Have you ever thought of somebody, and then you get a phone call with their name right there on the screen? You're like, oh, I just thought of that person. So fast. We work so fast. So we want to block out other people's intentions. We want our intentions. We're here to connect with us individually. Connect with me, connect with I, however you want to put that. Another way. So if you're familiar with what's called gridding and sealing through the sacred geometry practice, that's another way to set your space. I'm just giving you examples of ways to do that. You might uh, be inspired by one in particular or have one of your own already. Anchor through the Lord's Prayer. That's one way to do it. You can say it out loud or silently, it doesn't matter. You can even use holy water. You can bless yourself however you like. But we're talking about creating a boundary. Okay, so now that we have the boundary created, and these cross platforms, whatever religion you have or even non-religion, this is about energy. All right, so it's about energy and space. If you want to use salt, if you want to be like a witch, throw salt around you, you can do that. The Irish throw what, salt over the left shoulder. All right, so there's all these kinds of things that we have in our ancient practices. But the idea is this is my space. I'm setting the space. The intention is here. Okay. And the next thing we do that's so important, remember I was mentioning, we get tied to an outcome. We think the answers that we have are good for us all the time, but we are not the Ron Popeil set it and forget it rotisserie machine. We are a living organism of thoughts and ideas and new inputs all the time. We're getting opportunities. How many times are you faced as a business owner with a decision? Do I go with this program right now? Do I enroll? Do I pay off half of this bill or do I pay off all of this bill? These are questions that you can plug in to your body system, and the body will unconsciously take on all of the information that you consciously miss, and you can get a more holistic answer from your body. Okay. And part of that, if it has to be when you set space to you clear your mind. So how do you clear your mind? Well, we've gone through the I am meditation before, and I can find the link to that and put it in chat again. But the idea is find the way that you can get unbiased about your answers. So whatever's top of mind that you're trying to churn through and work through, and get an answer for. Should I continue with this relationship? Is this somebody that I can do a collaboration with? I don't do collaborations until I tune in with myself. So there's all this information that you can tap into that's unconscious. Some people call it subconscious, but I think it's more than that. It's more than the subconscious. That's the being of who you are. You can try, yeah, the I am meditation. You can also try journal dumping. You ever had it where the mind is just worrying, and people who are in certain metabolisms, they can't seem to shut the mind down, right? Get the paper out, get the pen out, start writing it all down. Get things out of your head, especially if you can't, like when you can't fall asleep at night. Pen and paper near the bed nightstand. Write down the things that you need to remember for the morning. It will be there for you. Same idea. Um, some people remember the meditation of the floating away the balloon, right? So you've got to let it go into a balloon space, right? There's all these different ways to clear the mind. The biggest thing I do Akashic record readings, and there's such a desire for a question to be answered in a certain way. And when you when you have me that you're asking the question to, I'm going to sit there and easily just kind of point that out. I'm not blind to it. But if it's your question you're asking, you might be. And so you can be your own stumbling block and not even realizing it. That's why I say question everything that is coming up. Um, list every worry until it loses its charge. That can be a difficult thing to do, but it's so beneficial. So, uh, anybody have a question that's popping into mind that they want to test with me while we go through more about the rules? I'll see if I can inspire some questions before we dive in. All right, the boundaries framework. Okay, the question cannot be about another person, and that's the number one. That's the number one question everybody asks. Should I break up? That's about you. Is this person doing something? That's about them. So we need to make sure that the questions are about us, the individual. Can't be about death. We don't want to predict that. But some people that they'll ask, especially Akashic records, when am I going to die? Oh, no, no, no. That's not a question you get to answer. You can ask it, but I'm not going to answer it. About the future. Energy questions pertaining to the body, think of it as a little bit energetically like a child. It's what the it's a very different energy than dealing with the Akashic energy. If I'm using a word that I use automatically, are we all familiar with the Akashic records? Have you heard of this before? No, Akashic records. You heard of the Book of Life that Peter has at the pearly gates, right? Our history of life. Yeah, most people have heard of this one. That's the Akashic records. It's the record, written record, if you will, of your life. All of the things that have happened, all of the things that could happen, which is a little bit of a mind screw for the concept of we live a linear life. And there are things that have already happened, have the potential to happen. So we can tap into the potentials, but we can't tap into the absolutes. And then of course, we can tap into the past. So these are all what's included in our Akashic records. So, and you have one, we all have an individual one. Where we live has one, the planet Earth has one, the solar system has one, the universe has one. So there are levels of and a huge library worth literally of records. And so when we're tapping into the subconscious, if you will, or that the sense of self, the body, we're getting all of that knowledge that we have natural access to. Okay. It's all of that it boggles my mind. Why don't we know what's going on inside of our bodies? I wish I had the answer to that. Okay, we can ask about the body. We can ask about the energy of the body. We can ask in energy, what do I mean? Do I have any interference? Do I have any people talk about this all the time? Do I have an evil eye on me? That's old superstition, but some people live by it. Do I have somebody talking about me behind my back and I got knives in my back kind of idea? Do I have, like, these are things that would energetically disturb you, and wouldn't you like to know about them? What's true right now? These are questions that you can ask. Probabilities already in motion. So, what do I mean by that? Say you're launching a new program and you're deciding between two different price structures. Have them out in front of you, A and B, and then test them with the questions. Is this better to launch or is this better to launch? And so you can test, you can see how this has much more. Yes, you're going to do your homework and do your due diligence and go through and design your program according to your ideal client and all of the things that Linda talks about on her beautiful programs. I love her programs. Okay. And so once we get the basics down, then you get to choose. Is now before Thanksgiving, Black Friday? Is this a good time to launch or should I wait until Christmas? See, these are things energetically that you have insight to. You can ask. You can ask about. I kind of think launching is like planting a tree. The best time to do it is 20 years ago. But if you didn't do it 20 years ago, then today that's my mindset. But wouldn't you like to know A or B? Like you really can get focused on what you ask questions about. Okay, probabilities. This one I'll do an example of it in a minute, but decisions that are in front of you is what you're looking at, and your own path. And this keeps your body with wisdom clean because as soon as you start deviating into looking at other people's energy without their permission, that's an energetic, let's call it a taboo, and it will actually pull energy from you. That's what you've heard of energetic ties or cords and cord cutting. Have you heard of that before? Yeah. Yeah, you don't want to create cords. Cords draw energy from you when you're the one doing the asking. Just keep that in mind. I'm telling you, number one questions are always about other people. And you, you need to take care of ourselves, just like we need to take care of our local governments. Anyways, okay. So once we have the framework down, then you want to drop into your own sense of self. So we've created a container. We laid down the boundaries. Now we're ready to relax in. Clear your mind again. Let your shoulders drop. As we do that, we do this, right? Let them drop. Let the energy flow. Breathe. Okay. And let your questions come clearly. And what do I mean by that? When it comes to energy, when it comes to your body, the words we use matter. So, should implies a judgment. Is this for my highest good? Implies best. So we want to be careful of our words we use. And if you're not getting the answers you want, this can be very messy, but it all is, if you clean up your words, it can be very clean and quick. Uh, Pen, right? So if you put a pen down in front of you and you ask your body, is that a pen? You should get a yes or a no. Okay, so Eva, what are we talking about getting a yes or no? Some people use the kinesiology of the fingers in a circle, right? You use your thumb and you can use your middle finger or your forefinger, and it goes inside the other one. That's not the one I use, but a lot of people use that. Have you seen this before? You're familiar with that? No? Yeah, you've seen it. Okay. So a yes answer is strong. Is this a pen? Yes. Is this a pencil? And that should pop out of the non-dominant hand. So my non-dominant hand is my left hand, and that's the test hand. And my dominant hand is the one that makes the circle that holds. So that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, people use their body sway if they're standing. We're not standing right now, but a yes answer, you'll feel like somebody's pushing you at your shoulders, and a no answer feels like somebody's pushing you back. That's great if you're holding I don't have any food in front of me. Or, okay, you got a supplement bottle at the grocery store and you don't want to pull out your pendulum or your hands, then you can use your body sway. You hold on to it and you go, is this what my body needs right now? And my body just went back and I'm sitting. So that's after years and years and years of practicing this energy work. It takes about 30 days, don't let me scare you, 30 days to master one of these practices. So my favorite and the one that I use whenever somebody calls me on the phone and they ask me to tune into their energy is two hands. So the non-dominant hand creates an L shape between the pointer finger and the thumb. Okay. And you want to give it some resistance so that when you take the other dominant hand, and I use my middle finger and my thumb on the outside of both of those fingers. There's a lot of fingers here. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make it as clear as I can. And so this is the kinesiology that your chiropractor tunes into for biochemical responses. It's also a motion code use. It's the same stuff. This is just your energetic answer. This is all in our nervous system. The answers are here waiting for you. Okay. So show me yes would be a nice hard resistance, and show me no collapses. You see that? Show me yes. And my body is showing me a yes. And this is the strong. So what we're asking from the body are terminal questions, either yes or no, not open-ended. I don't know how we're going to get how was your day today answered in your hand, yes or no. We have to be closed-ended questions. Okay. Any questions about the kinesiology? Because this is the main part of how we get to see the answers. Have you ever used anything like this before? No? Remember how we used to hold our arm out and somebody would say, hold a banana. Is a banana good for you? And your arm would stay straight. Same thing. Okay. Well, I'd like for everybody to try the version that I was just talking about, because this one seems to be um, the easiest when it comes to kinesiology on the self. So let's use our non-dominant hand and create the L shape, and then use your dominant hand to get the answers. So non-dominant hand holds the L shape with the forefinger and the thumb, and you're looking for resistance without asking anything at all. Okay. And then use your dominant hand, the middle finger and your thumb outside of both of those to apply pressure. Now, you don't want to apply it so hard that you break your fingers. We've got a raised hand. Let's see it. What's going on, Laura? Go ahead and unmute. Oh, it was an accident because you're raising your hands. Yeah, I got it. We're all raising our hands. Um, yeah, so let's ask a question. Am I drinking enough water? And let's see what your answer is. I got a yes, although I'm feeling thirsty. You could take this to a percentage. Um, or I should say, am I drinking enough water? It's yes or no. Of course, that's the kind of question we want. Am I drinking the right kind of waters? Like, is my body feeling hydrated is even a better question. See how you can really, you can dive in on a single subject. Am I drinking the right kind of water? Am I drinking enough water? Am I hydrated? Hydration is the ultimate goal for drinking water. So you can find out. You can say, is this water hydrating me? That's more important than the kind. Because some people, I'm going to get technical, some people do really well on reverse osmosis water, but it's a small percentage of society. Most people need spring water or carbon filtered for it to hydrate them. So there's things that you can ask your body that we don't have a test for that. Are you hydrated? Um, I'll get individuals that will call me up and say, Eva, I'm not feeling so good on my supplements? Can you tune into the supplements and tell me, am I supposed to be taking all of these? And they'll give me a list. I can go in line by line, and you can too. Is this what I need right now for my body? Okay. And you can even ask how much. Is this what I need right now? Yes, but do I need to take this full dosage or should I half the dose? So you can go through and say you're taking 6 pills of one kind. And you can go through and say, all right, for this pill, you name it, do I need one dose a day? Yes. Do I need 2 doses a day? No. Right? And it'll collapse for you and it'll show you the answer. So that way you know. And then you can ask it for how long do I do this? Do I do this for a few days? Do I do this for 3 days? Do I do this for 4 days? And until you get the no, do I do this for 4 days? You back off. Now you know you need for 3 days. So you're systematically going through and getting specific about what your body is telling you, what it needs. And you can do the same thing for any of your business decisions, any of your relational decisions. Um, is this making sense so far? I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, but not getting any feedback really, other than some nods. But is this helpful? Is it a useful tool? Is it something you could see yourself using?
Sarah, how about you?
Sorry, my daughter just spilled an entire drink on a bunch of things. So I'll be back in a minute. Sorry. It's
What about you,
Thanksgiving break.
Susan?
So, yes, the children are home. Sorry.
Got you, no problem. How about you, Susan?
I'm just listening in. I mean, it's quite late for me. That's why I don't have my camera on. So I'm just listening in. A lot of it is new.
Oh, good.
Some of it is of things that I've heard before. So today is my first time of coming for one of your sessions, Eva. So I'm more or less listening in, trying to take in as much as I can. Though you are talking about things sometimes as if I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's a great time to pop in and say, what does that mean? Because I do use words an awful lot that I'm used to using, so I don't know if you know them or not. Yeah, is there something in particular that you heard that you want me to dive into more deeply?
One of the things that you mentioned I've heard before and you explained briefly, I'm curious about is the cards that connect to life. The name begins with A. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but you know what I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Yeah.
Whereby you say it doesn't give you definites, but it's possibilities. I'm curious. Love to know more about that, please.
Yeah, the Akashic records.
But
So, yeah, those Akashic records are the same as what's described as the Book of Life. Oftentimes, Peter waiting for us at the end of life at the pearly gates when he says, "Let's review your life together," right? So this is the history of everything that you have done, not just your achievements, but everything. And the Akashic Records holds that data. The in the moment right now, what we do from day to day is free will based. So what is propensity, like what could be in the book in the future, including like you can expand this all the way to how many people are going to be on the planet. Free will determines who mingles with who and how many children you have. And so the data is constantly shifting and changing. It's kind of hard for us to grasp that. It's hard for me to grasp that because it's such a huge concept. But the idea that you can look into your future to a degree of only by percentages, is that what you're asking about?
It's just what is the purpose of it? So, as you said, it's the record that everything has got in the past and what everything has happened in the past and what could possibly happen in the future. And I'm just wondering how you use it, what's the value of it?
Yeah, there's oftentimes if you are already in a very intuitively led life. You feel like you listen to your spiritual guided messages and your connection with universe, if you will,
Yeah.
is strong, and you can then receive that information clearly and act on it, then you're in connection all the time with your information. But sometimes your own information is blocked, either by a person, by yourself, by a belief, by there's a number of ways that you could have interference. And at that, if you're not receiving your messages, then getting them so that you can stay on task with what am I doing in the world? What kind of business am I doing? What kind of life am I living? Am I doing the thing I'm supposed to be doing? All of those questions. We want to tune in with those messages that are available in the Akashic record to answer. And so that's purpose seems to be a big focal point for many people in the last several years, more so than I've seen in a while. And being on task with that purpose is something that you can get out of your Akashic records. Is this what I'm here to do on planet? Is this how big of a question do you want to have? Do you want to have it just for today's information? Am I doing what I need to today? Or do I want to look out into a future that is a probability-based future? And so there's a usually questions, people have a lot of questions about their future. But if you're already hearing the messages and from guidance, then you're good. That's the best way I can put it for right now. Um, yeah.
No, thank you. That was useful. Should I continue if no one else is talking, or I'll step back and let other people talk?
Susan, please feel free. This is what this is about, is getting, guidance very directly. So happy to help.
Okay, thank you. So, I mean, that's useful, and as you mentioned, purpose. A lot of people, inclusive of myself, are very much focused on purpose. In fact, even with people I work on, there's that focus about purpose, impact, and legacy. So what you're saying is spot on and very much aligned. So they're the records, and I just wonder what's the best way, I guess, for myself as for others to be able to make sure well aligned as possible in terms of purpose, both on a day-to-day basis and more generally.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And that's the difference between mindfulness that has the purpose behind it and tactical mindfulness practices, meaning you can meditate and get your mind clear, and you can journal every day and document your life. But where is it leading? And I suppose it's the putting of the culmination. And this is just another one of those tools, is the kinesiology to help us tune into what do I need to hear? What do I need to do? What is the next step for my purpose to be achieved and realized? And I think that's a huge distinction, and it's a lovely distinction. I really enjoy that concept of we could do all these things that we're taught to do, breath work and mindfulness and meditation and sauna therapy, and take our supplements. But what are we using it for? Do we realize that this is what brings us to our highest level? And I think where this work of using kinesiology to answer questions is the difference between living on a plane, an existence of habit, where we just do things because it's rote memory. We eat the same thing every day. We have a conversation with the same person every day at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Like if that's the case, I'm just making up ideas. But if you're living life on a automation, as opposed to being more present with it, you're never going to fill the gap between the where you are and the what's next for you. And I think that's what this work in listening to, or getting down dirty into the the Akashic record in this case, or even your body's information about what can be most beneficial for me today so that I can pay attention, so that I can be present, so that I can um, be healthy enough to go out into the world and meet people and meet them by accident, meet them by divine meeting. That's what I like to call it, a divine intervention. And being available for those. You know what? The best people in life are always brought to me by accident. It was almost by accident, you know, that I met certain people. And I think that's about listening to, well, we're both in the same place. It must be for a reason. Let's explore that. And that's how we use it. So it's not so much a galvanized, here's the fact and here's what we're getting. Um, what do I, that it's softer. It's not about rules and regulations. It's more about the paying attention to the almost by accidents. I have lots of stories like that. I'll share one. One of my very close spiritual guides in a physical body. She's one of my closest friends. And we were both invited by a mutual friend to go to a singing bowl. Have you heard of these before? The little sound bowls with the crystal makes the, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That became very popular, what, 10 years ago or so. And so we were both invited to a Christmas party, and it was a singing bowl event, and neither of us really wanted to go. We found out afterwards. Neither of us really wanted to go, but that little bit of resistance and wanting to get in the car and drive, in traffic an hour and a half away, both of us coming from opposite directions. I looked at her face, she looked at my face, and I go, I know your face. She goes, yeah, I know yours too. We never have figured it out. We've known each other now for 10 years. But it was an almost by accident. We almost missed each other. But in listening to the message, which was that resistance, the resistance is spirit usually telling us that there's something there for us to go see, go find, go do, go meet. And so that could have easily been handled if I had taken myself with a little kinesiology and said, is there something for me at this sound bowl event? And I would have gotten my yes. So that's how it can be used, um, boots on the ground, if you will, in the moment to guide you through even the things that we're resisting. And we learn how our nervous system responds and and tells us information that we can then utilize. And all of that lets us know if we're on the right path. And it's not going to be a knock on the door necessarily. It's going to be something that is just, again, almost by accident. I have my
That
cat
thing,
almost by accident. Yeah, go ahead.
that thing whereby people say that there really no such thing, there's no such thing as coincidence. They always say, oh, just by chance or by
Yeah,
coincidence, but it's not really that.
yeah.
It's, should I say, ordained, or it's meant to be, or people are there for a purpose, even if they don't know it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's the divine meetings. I love to call those. And there's so many of us that have these wonderful little subtle stories of we almost didn't meet each other, but really it was meant.
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah.
Jeanette, I see that you're driving and that you are on mute, my friend. And so I don't want you to be in a dangerous situation. So, respond only as you feel it's safe to. But I am really curious about your thoughts and if there's any question that, maybe has been rolling around in your mind over the last 6 months, 3 months, 60 days, where you're like, gosh, I just wish I had some sort of direction on how to move forward with this.
Well, I've been doing muscle testing for quite a while.
Yep.
Um, I've seen Eva do what she just showed, but I don't know. It didn't really always. I didn't click when she showed it to me before, so that's pretty cool. Um, you know, I've broken some of those rules and I didn't realize why how testing works and how come it doesn't other times. So there was some good clarification there.
Good,
And it makes a lot of sense. It does. So I think what you're saying is really good.
good. Yeah, anytime you can take a tool that you know and make it that more useful, that much more useful, I'm happy with that. Yeah. Yeah, oftentimes you'll ask if a question is out of bounds, how do you test that? Ask it again and you'll get a different answer.
Well, I've done that too. That's happened to me too. I'm like, what the hell? It doesn't know.
It
It doesn't
does
want to tell
know.
me.
Yeah, it's saying that's not for you to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you have a question about another person and you ask the question, it's a closed-ended question, meaning it's going to give you a result of a yes or a no. And you ask that question either about the future or about another person, you're going to get conflicting answers. And it's not that spirit doesn't know, it's just it's not for you to know yet. You're going to experience it. And so you can ask then about probabilities. Well, an outcome of something. Say, I don't know, this doesn't apply to any of us here. Maybe we're up for an Emmy Award, right? And we go through the list of all of the players and we're like, all right, who's going to win? And we go through each person and we get a yes on all of them because the probability before it's actually announced is yes to all of them. They're all possible until it actually is announced. So that's why you can't use this to bet on horses or to bet on games or to bet, you know what I mean? Does that help clarify as to what we can ask about? Yeah. Yeah, this is a big body of work that I mean, we're trying to teach it in under an hour, but the idea around it, just getting clear on even if you got 1% of this today, and practice your show me yes, show me no, and get your body used to acknowledging that energy. You can advance it slowly. Again, I've been doing this for many, many, many years. So I'm used to it. Like Susan pointed out, I'm using words that I know and I take for granted, and I don't mind clarifying. So, yeah, what other questions do you have? Or anybody have a question that you want to try out on yourself, and then let me confirm? Because that's something that I've had a lot of practice with is other people, other practitioners like Jeanette, who are familiar with using muscle testing to get answers out of the body. Well, I will sometimes text somebody and, hey, will you tune into me real quick and see if you see this for me? And that helps to gain a little more confidence.
That's amazing. Does anybody have any questions like that? Laura or Susan or Sarah, do you have any questions that have been rattling around that you want to ask?
They'll come up later. Now, now is the time though. If you have,
Always.
yeah, yeah, always, right. So,
All right. Well, give us one action item that you think, Eva, we could practice or at least think about over the course of the next week, especially as we move into Thanksgiving, where we could kind of tune into our intuition a little bit more effectively than we maybe are in practice of doing, right? And I'll tell you, this is one of my big challenges because I don't really trust often the feedback that I'm receiving through intuition. I need God to knock me out with a 2x4 most of the time.
yes.
Truly, because I'm like, I don't know if that's from God. I think that's me. I think that I'm making stuff up right now. I'm not sure. So he literally has to knock me out with a 2x4, say, nope, that was me. And that's what I'm telling you. So what can we do to tune into that a little bit more and trust that?
Oh my gosh, I'm looking for an example that's not so triggering as Thanksgiving dinner. I don't know about your family, but my family, we, this is not something that I would want to use as an example of it is coming up on Thursday. Uh, I still want to, because in the moment it might be difficult to come up with the question that's burning. But to get that confidence you're talking about, Linda, I think it's the practice. Practice setting your space, clearing the mind, and then decide what you want to ask. And you can even ask, who is this coming from? You can ask that question. Is this coming from God? Yes or no? Is this coming from my higher self? And what's the difference between the two? So is this for my highest good is the best answer, the best question rather to ask in those situations. Because coming
Yeah,
from God is going to
100%. Because
equal.
God would not tell you to do anything that's not part of your highest good. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah. And even your higher self is the same. So you can ask, if you have cleared space, in other words, you don't have any sort of weird interference, then you're going to be hearing from yourself as it is. And that's why it's this hygiene that I mentioned, the series of steps to take before you ask the question is so important. Because if you wake up from a dream, you're like, is that a real dream? You haven't set space. You want to set your space, set your intention, clear your mind, and then ask the question. And those would be the hardest things to do before you even ask the questions to get practice in.